Resilience. How many folks in here identify as folks who are resilient? Put your hands in there. Folks who are resilient. I celebrate you. It's awesome that you are resilient. Get loud for yourselves about being resilient. Yeah. It's dope, right? It's like a brand new outfit. It's something that people pet, something people are like ooh and ah about, right? But nobody says to you, how much did that outfit cost? How expensive was it? How heavy is it? How hot does it get? Do you feel protected by it, right? I'm in shoes right now that look amazing, but baby, my feet hurt, right? Resilience, it's dope, it's awesome. But the thing that I've realized as I've been able to delve in and understand my resilience was that no one talked about how I became resilient. As I work with young people on a daily basis, as I work with the most marginalized amongst us, and I see that they're always lauded for how they bounce back, or they're further marginalized because they don't bounce back the way we think they should, I said, why are we not asking what it took for this person to have this Teflon shell? And the more that I ask that about the folks that I have the privilege of working with in the community and the people that I serve, a few therapy sessions figuring out about it with myself, I said, resilience is the byproduct of trauma. We talk about resilience like it's this dope thing that is on our doorstep. We walk outside, we open it up, and it's yours, and you're happy about it. But that's not how it goes. I'm a huge comic book fan. I also am a fan when they actually do a good job of taking it from the pages of the book to the screen. And one of the best examples is Deadpool. How many folks have seen Deadpool in the house, right? So Deadpool, historically, he breaks the fourth wall. He says all types of things that I could never say on TEDx because I want this to go viral like anybody else, right? But he's known for being resilient in the way that if you cut off his arm, it's going to grow back. If he breaks all of his bones, they will heal in a few minutes. Literally, there's a scene in the movie when he's shot in the head and he's telling funnier jokes than he ever said before. He heals. But what did it take for him to become that way? He found out that he had a terminal cancer right about the same time that he found the woman he knew he could spend the rest of his life with. He decided to go into this program to find a way to activate what they call the X gene. So in this conversation, X gene means resilience, right? Just want y'all to stay with me. How to activate his X gene. And they did not tell him all the things that his body would have to go through to activate said X gene because nobody really knows. For some people, it's environmental things. For some people, it's passed on from you to your parents. For some people, it's in the water you drink. And for some people, it's how much pressure can be put on your body. And for Wade Wilson, they put him in this situation where the final step, literally, as soon as he would almost suffocate and die, they would give him oxygen and bring him back. And then they would take him to the brink of death again, and then give him oxygen and bring him back. And when his X gene was activated, this person, now I'm not a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, but in the streets, y'all might call him attractive, right? For him to gain this resilience, he then became what most of us, if we were walking down the street, would make us give a double take. What most of us would say, oh, what happened to you? What most of us would look away from if they tried to give us eye contact. And we know we do that with folks on a daily basis who are resilient. When you're driving down the street and there's a person at the intersection who has a sign and saying they need a few dollars from you to make it through the day. In your mind, with the bias we carry, we ask, well, if you're out here, why can't you go get a job? If you're doing this, what are the other options you have? Oh my goodness, why didn't they go down to the shelter? The first thing I think of, you are a cold person who's out here handling all of your business the best way you know how. How many times do you look away? How many times do you roll up your window? How many times do you say, oh my gosh, I wish that this light would change? That's what happened with Wade Wilson, also known as Deadpool. For the folks who like graphs, I'm a narrative person. I know there's some data people in the audience, so I gave y'all like my version of a graph, okay? His road to resilience, he was beaten, stabbed, cut, removed from his loved ones. He watched his friends tortured and murdered, and then again, to this kind of situation where we're gonna almost kill you, but no psych, we're gonna let you live. And everybody's excited. Yes, that is Richard Simmons, because nobody gives excitement and a celebration like Richard Simmons. You do 10 push-ups, you've changed the world, right? And that's how a lot of it shows up. Oh my God, you're so resilient. You can handle anything. You can do anything. It's so amazing. Or you get the people that as they're talking to you after they tell your story, you hear the emotion in their voice, the tears start to come, and nobody thinks about in that moment how much of their emotional baggage they're putting on you because they're processing not your resilience, they're processing your trauma that it took you to become resilient. But they will never say that's what they're processing. They're always gonna talk about the great things you do, the great person you are. You're going to see a very fresh, young, supple-skinned version of myself behind me. Yes, supple. On the right, I'm 18, fresh out of high school, not knowing that I'm about to enter the Nebraska Department of Corrections for 8.5 years. Of that 8.5 years, I would spend 18 months, 788, 401 minutes, almost 1 million minutes in solitary confinement. For a portion of my solitary confinement status, I actually lived on death row. In the middle, I'm 25 years old, working in the kitchen in the Nebraska Department of Corrections system for 10 hours a day, for $225 a day, so I'm able to stay in the Metro program. So on the left, I can graduate with an associate's degree in culinary management. My zenith was being able to get a job where I was gonna work 10 hours a day and maybe be able to pay my bills and maybe be able to get a fancy car one day. In my time, I realized that things were being put in front of me that I was having to climb over whether I wanted to or not. I didn't call those things resilience, I called it Monday through Sunday, right? My path to resilience, isolation, being in the cell for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, navigating depression, experiencing the death of my father during my incarceration, navigating sexual assault by a corrections officer in the system. My mental health was attacked on a daily basis, and the experience of living on death row and knowing that these men that had become my friends would someday die is something that I carry with me to this day. So it again happens this way. People walk up to me, oh my God, Dominique, you're so dope, you're so awesome, I love your story. I wanna know more. Can you come speak? Can we hang out? Where's your book at? Or it's tears, it's emotion, it's all the things they realize that it's taken me to get to that point. But they never have said to me, Dominique, I'm sorry that happened to you that way. Dominique, I recognize that all of these things you've been through are what have made you. Last fall, I attended Georgetown University with a cohort of individuals from Omaha, Nebraska. In my cohort was my juvenile court judge. And in our first day at Georgetown, mind you, I've spent weeks planning this outfit, right? And I'm focused on being the best I can be in that space. And she looked at me and she began to cry. And I immediately had to say to her, don't cry for me because I'm good. Let's talk about the people that you have access to today. Let's make sure that no other child ever has to become resilient. Let me ask you this question again. How many folks in the room identify as resilient people? So this time I'm gonna say to you, I see you. I may not know the exact steps it took you to become resilient, but I stand in solidarity with you. If I have the opportunity with a one-on-one interaction with you, I will use every skill of empathy I have to try to understand what you carry with you. And what I can tell you is that I will always make space for you to be yourself. When we talk about making space for people to be ourselves, it means that there's gonna be days when we say, my life's been hard, I'm not happy, I don't feel safe. I don't feel strong today. I don't know what's next. And for me, that is the strongest sign of resilience. When you know what it took for you to get someplace, you know how to stand there and stay there for as long as you can. So my call to action for you today is absolutely celebrate people's resilience, but affirm the steps it took for them to get there. And when I say affirm, I'm not saying co-opt it. I'm not saying try to take it and put it in spaces that are inappropriate for the identities you carry. Affirming sometimes means a check. Affirming can mean a Facebook like. Affirming can mean that you've shared the post that they've talked about where they've shared their inner darkest things. And sometimes when you're walking through the intersection and you want to roll up your window and you want the light to change, affirming means that you take whatever you have and you give it to somebody else. Thank you.